ESPN had Jarrett Hurd somehow beating Julian J-Rock Williams. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Now, we had a great fight. Really could be a fight of the year type of candidate. It was very good action littered throughout. It was a 12-round unanimous decision victory for Julian Williams, and I thought he put on a tour de force, phenomenal performance, and it made you feel good, to see him drop to his knees and, presumably pray to the man upstairs and just become a unified champion. Him and his team hug it out and just like, yo, we made it. I told you guys for the longest, Philly fighters, not to stereotype, but a lot of these Philly dudes are just born different, born tough. We've seen guys like Tevin Farmer get stopped, lose early in their career. Now he's a champion. We've seen Julian J-Rock Williams get stopped by Charlo. Years later, 2-3 years later, he's a unified champion. So as of right now, he's the guy at 154 with the most belts. All just like that one night. Right, Gabe Rosado just knocked down Mad Selesky, who's about to fight Demetrius Andrade. Danny Garcia, a lot of people were writing him off. All Philly guys. They said, oh, Keith Thurman beat him, Sean Porter beat him. And then Danny Garcia has a phenomenal performance versus Adrian Granados. Looks very fluid, very strong, very sharp. Becomes the first person to stop Adrian Granados, who has given really all the top names that he's faced tough fights, like Broner, Felix Diaz, etc. Sean Porter, and Danny Garcia stops him. So shout out to Philly. Had to start off from that. But let's break down the fight. I want to give more of my thoughts. I did a live stream, but some people like this format where I'm not reading comments and it gets a little bit distracting. And you guys seen the title. This is what I told you guys was coming. This new media movement that I've been working on is real, and we getting stronger and louder. And I posted this because this is from ESPN senior writer Dan Raphael, and somehow he's giving props to the fight, but he's still saying that, according to his scorecard, he had Hurd winning. And I want to analyze it. I want to give you run down some of my thoughts, different things like that. He says round 12, he gave it to Williams 10-9. Incredible action fight. I have Jarrett Hurd winning 114 and 113. Those are his scores, with Jarrett Hurd staying a champion. If Dan Raphael was the 3 judges, if they thought like him. He said it could go either way. Great fight. They both laid it on the line. Right? And I'm just showing you guys the difference. Like, to me, it's mind-boggling. I said shit wasn't even close like that, LOL. It's mind-boggling to me that it's like people who work for companies and big box outlets, right? Their lead people are, I guess, in charge of giving their opinions at times, reporting stories, and they're putting out stuff like that. Like, I didn't see this as even really a close fight at all. And this is what Julian J-Rock Williams said. He said, I was a 7-1 underdog. Thank you for everyone that doubted me and the new. Like, Hurd must get some defense. That's from Devin Alexander, right? Let me get to some of my tweets. There's a lot of activity after these big fights. They also announced Pacquiao versus Thurman, so that's dope for the summer. This is all timestamped, so like, I didn't just go back and change this. This is all live. This is my live commentary. We're going to Quentin Tarantino and start from the end. I said, look, 7:49, right, in real time. Follow me on Twitter at BOXINGEGO. These are my tweets. Williams won the fight, no doubt. These commenters keep saying it was close. Please stop. Congrats to Team Williams. And it's just mind-blowing. This is what I put immediately upon the fight ending, right? I'm like, people keep saying it was close. You even heard people on the Fox commentary This is what's wrong with boxing right now, is you got people assigned to positions, and it's almost like they're trying to force or change a narrative for the people. Just let the fight be what it is and unfold, and give us like the pertinent information, like, okay, this guy is coming off this win, or in the amateurs he did this, like stuff like that. But now it's getting to the point where I don't even know what people are scoring. You know, there's people who work for commentary teams or senior writers and stuff like that, and I'm like, I don't even know what they're really watching. Like, I'm watching the Julian J-Rock Williams fight, and it was fun, but it wasn't, I don't see how you would score it any other way than for J-Rock. I don't believe it could have went any other way. I could understand fights like Andre Ward, Sergey Kovalev. Maybe some people had Kovalev winning. Danny Jacobs versus Triple G. You know, maybe Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. But I don't feel like this fight was really in the vein of that. I said, wow. J-Rock Williams looked at the cameraman in the 12th round and smiled. Philly dudes ain't got no chill. So that says a lot, and this is all during real time. That says a lot. J-Rock, by the 12th round, the cameraman must have been like right here, and he was in the clinch. You know, his back was against the ropes, and then Jarrett Hurd was like, had his head down or something, and J-Rock looked at the camera and smiled like he was having fun in there. And I heard him, he was talking. I couldn't hear, he wasn't mic'd up or anything, but I heard he was talking, so presumably talking shit to him in the ring. Look at my score. Look at my statements. Champion Hurd needs a knockout to win, in my opinion. Williams looks sharp as Gillette razors, boy. You know? So let's talk about some more of the fight, man. But it's just crazy. Like I said, you have all these people who are like supposed to be authorities in the boxing media or assigned jobs, and these scorecards are insane. I thought Hurd definitely lost. I don't even think he protested it. He said the better man won tonight. You know what I'm saying? So that's the other thing with new media versus old media. When you don't know what you're talking about, and when you don't really hear a protest from the person who lost and has to accept the loss of 2 belts and accept the defeat, then that makes old media look even worse, and it makes it look like you really don't know what you're talking about when the person in question is gracefully admitting that he lost. Like, unless you guys have something. But from what I seen when they interviewed Hurd, he was just like, the better man won tonight. You know, I'm happy with the crowd. I'll definitely be back, you know. And that's cool. I have no problem with that. Like, so I'm not making this video to come down on Jarrett Hurd. I definitely will watch him in the future. He has to tighten up in certain regards. So let's run it back. I can't obviously play the clip because I don't own it. But the ring walk was cool. It was fire. They said he's a Washington Redskins fighter, fan of the football team. So he had the Washington marching band walk him out. He had a cape on. He was feeling it, you know what I'm saying? Feeling it, walking to the ring. And both fighters got in the ring. You seen one thing I noticed with J-Rock. He looked very calm. You know, very calm, looking at the camera. Did kind of like the Bernard Executioner Hopkins. They showed his resume and all that, and talked about his story a little bit. He looked calm. That calmness and that composure really carried on into the fight, because from round 1, I was like, man, J-Rock looks really composed. He looks like he's been here before. And obviously he did fight for a title against Charlo, but it didn't go his way. But, you know, shout out to Breadman and J-Rock and Team J-Rock, because their game planning and strategy was great, because he really looked like he knew exactly what he wanted to do. And then you see Hurd was feeling it, had the crowd, you know, everybody had he had his belts and stuff. Everybody looked like they were down. They talked about Hurd coming out slow, which he did, and that's kind of one of the things that he had to pay for, because he came out very slow. And one thing I noticed about Hurd, and I think that plagued him in this particular fight, Hurd is extremely big for 54, to the point I don't even know how he makes 54. You know what I'm saying? But that's his business. As long as he's making the weight, cool. So he has that part down to a science. But he doesn't necessarily fight tall. Sometimes he's crouched in, leaning in. head down, leaning forward, and that makes him more susceptible. The big difference maker here was the close infighting. You know, Hurd was smothering his own work and then getting in too close. If you look at Hurd's, like, he has the longer arms, things of that sort, right? And with the longer arms, you can't get the trajectory on your shots. Julian J-Rock Williams being a little bit smaller, he had more precision and he had the shorter shots. Great hooks from Julian J-Rock Williams. That was the story of the fight. Great body work. And the thing that made this impressive performance even more impressive is it looked kind of effortless. You know what I'm saying? It looked like J-Rock, he just really knew the game plan. Like they went over it several times in their head and ultimately they executed. But I seen Jarrett Hurd, he's making some mistakes in there, like where he was just smothering his own work. And it's hard to get off them shots. And he already kind of like slaps with some of his shots. He just couldn't get nothing off. And I'm seeing more and more that Jarrett Hurd's fighting style is almost like an old car. There's nothing wrong with the old car, but I've had old cars before. Like you get an old car and then you start it and you have to let it run for a while to get the engine going, right? And then once you get to that point, like let's say you park and you just have the engine going because it's an older car. Let's say it's a muscle car. Then it runs like a charm. But that's what I notice about Jarrett Hurd is he has to get more. He's like a rhythmic fighter. Like he needs to be in the rhythm, and J-Rock didn't allow him. He was turning him. He was smothering his work. He didn't allow him to get in the rhythm. Like I've watched a lot of Hurd fights, like let's say the Jason Wellborn fight that was on the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury undercard, and Jason Wellborn was kind of in the fight somewhat, but then Hurd kept getting into a rhythm. J-Rock didn't allow it because he was the aggressor. In spots he was pushing him back, driving him back. He was landing the hard shots and the shorter shots, and he was doing the better inside fight work. And he never really allowed Hurd to create any type of real momentum. And then this happened. In the second round, Hurd was giving up too many shots, and then he got hit in the temple or something, then he went down. Now, they said he had never been down as a pro. He knows he's the bigger man, so I'm pretty sure that was a shocking moment for him. He didn't expect this, and this was 29, as you guys can see, 29 seconds into the round. So he got back up, tried to shake it off, and J-Rock just had that killer instinct, y'all. He had that killer instinct. He was a man determined. He was not going to lose this fight. The inside fighting, close quarters fighting, he got the knockdown. That's why I can't understand how anyone would have had Hurd winning, because he would have had to do some major to come back from that knockdown, even though it was only one. How some of those rounds were looking after that, he was clearly losing. So I don't see how anyone would have had Hurd winning. It was fun though, because Hurd he is big, he is durable, and he showed a lot of heart. So I do respect that aspect of the game. He was trying to make something work, but in the end, it was a very sharp, dominant performance by Julian J-Rock Williams. And you guys can go to Fox to actually watch this. Again, I can't show it for copyright reasons. I've never really seen Hurd get into any real significant rhythm. He was fighting at the wrong range, and I think it kind of plagued him, and he kind of got beat at his own game. The bully got bullied. The guy who's usually taller and bigger than the Edeslandi Ladas and stuff like that, he was getting drove back. He was getting pushed back. He was coming from behind because he got a 10-8 round in the second round when he got knocked down. And it was just brilliant game planning by Team Williams. I really enjoyed this. And it was, it just shows you that boxing, anything can happen, especially with that underdog mentality and heart. You can come in there. This is how you're supposed to take two belts, lift them from the champion. This was in Hurd's backyard. Hurd had everything to gain. They were talking about Hurd and Charlo, You know, if Charlo gets his belt back from Harrison, and he shook up the division. J-Rock shook up the division. People start counting him out because that Charlo shit years ago, but that's his own situation. Hurd don't fight like Charlo in one bit. And this is what's wrong with boxing media. This is what's wrong with fans of boxing. They start comparing shit that's not even apples and apples. Like, the way Hurd fights has never been the way either Charlo twin fights, Jamel or Jamal. So you can't, and Jamel never even faced J-Rock, but Jamal has a win over him, but it's just different stuff. Like, Jamal had a great jab and he knocked down J-Rock with a jab early in that fight. But we didn't see the taller man fighting like a taller man in a lot of spots. He was kind of leaning in. He was on the ropes when he shouldn't be. A lot of these fighters got to get off them ropes. Unless you Mayweather, I don't want to see a lot of fighters on the ropes because they don't have simply put, they don't have the defense necessary to remain on the ropes and languish on the ropes. And I just feel like Hurd was taking up too many big shots. He was taking up too many big shots, and that set an early tone. That set a real early tone and had Hurd hurt multiple times. Even in the 12th round, where J-Rock was smiling at the cameraman, Hurd got hurt in that round, his legs. So again, I give him props for having heart, but he has to work on his defense. The other thing I noticed, one of the negatives for, or the criticisms for Hurd's team is his team looked a little bit inept. Like, I'm not trying to roast nobody or nothing, but there was tape, like war tape was coming off multiple times. They put so much Vaseline in his eye and he couldn't see. And that was another great moment for J-Rock. J-Rock's a true fighter. It's protect yourself at all times. And Hurd made almost a rookie mistake. He had too much Vaseline in his eye or something, and he was noticeably like pawing at it. And it was clear that something was bothering him, similar to what Kell Brook did with Gennady Golovkin, you know. And when a fighter sees that, you see Golovkin turned it up on Kell Brook. He sees you wiping blood and pawing at your eye. He's like, okay, fuck it, we can end this right here then. And that's exactly what J-Rock did. So I think Hurd in that moment, because he's not used to this, he's not used to, you know, the fight necessarily getting this out of him. He made a mistake by showing that vulnerability, because J-Rock pounced right on him and jumped on him and started trying to finish him and stuff like that. So I think Hurd's team, they should have switched a couple things. I don't know what Hurd is going to do post-fight, but he had a bad cut. You know, it just wasn't his best work. It wasn't his best work. Great, sharp performance by J-Rock, and he proved that underdogs still have a chance in this sport. So I love a good underdog story. You know me if you watch my channel, and I really can't see how old media, how anyone had Hurd winning this fight. The ebb and flow and everything never really suited him. It never really suited him. He was getting hit with big shots, different things like that. And they were flush shots, people. Flush shot. Oh, here's the CompuBox. Let's check those out. See, look. Even the CompuBox. Hurd threw 800 punches, but they weren't crisp punches. You know, some of them were like slapping punches, or where he didn't have enough room to really get them shits off. So, and Williams threw almost 700, 687, but the shit was short and sharp and more direct. This fastest way from point A to point B is a straight line. You know, Hurd got to work on some of his straight shots and just more precise, shorter shots. And he should have mastered the range. Like, Hurd might have to get with, I'm out here in the Bay. He might have to go see Virgil Hunter, you know, and train with Virgil Hunter, somebody who's going to kind of help you control the range and fight your type of fight. So this is the thing. Jarrett Hurd, I think he has enough attributes where things could have went his way. He could have won and he could have retained his title, but not fighting how he fought. That's the thing. So just like J-Rock, when he stepped up with Charlo and lost, he had to learn and he had to bounce back. So we'll see what's next for Hurd. You know, sometimes you have to take an L to improve. But I'm really impressed, speaking of Charlo, that J-Rock bounced back in this fashion. Not that I doubt it. I told y'all to watch this fight. I didn't even do a fight prediction. I just told y'all to watch it, and I was 100% right. This is a potential fight of the year candidate. You know, this is my type of shit because it was just sustained action. Because there was also the threat that I do like with Hurd, his size, his determination, and his durability. If J-Rock wasn't well conditioned, you get what I'm saying? Then it could have shifted to Hurd if he landed a succession of a couple punches. But like I said, he's like that old car start. He has to get his motor running, and Williams wouldn't allow that. And pressed on the gas. Very good body shots. It was just an educated boxing clinic. Very educated. See, look, Williams outlanded Hurd in 7 of the 12 rounds. I don't see how anyone, Dan Rafael, and this is the thing, I cover fights. I'm about to cover the Deontay Wilder fight next week. I cover fights live too. I don't feel like my scorecards are way off the mark like that. So I don't know what ESPN is talking about. And it's just crazy that you have people, old media, that, you know, they're supposed to be the aficionados and, you know, the modern day Bert Sugars and Teddy Atlases of boxing, and they can't score a fight like this. Again, this fight was fun. Hurd showed durability and heart and, you know, that dog mentality, but he wasn't landing the cleaner work, the more effective work. His defense was not better. These are all things that you look at. Effective aggression clearly went to Williams. Ring generalship clearly went to Williams. Defense clearly went to Williams, right? And then even if you look at it where you don't go directly off of what you're supposed to go off, J-Rock was the 7-1 underdog. J-Rock was the one fighting against the crowd because he's from Philly and Hurd's from the DMV area. So it's just like, this was a beautiful performance by J-Rock. And I don't think anyone should take that away from him. Hurd, keep your head up. You know, I think he can bounce back. Maybe they do a rematch. Maybe Williams goes on to fight the other Charlo if he gets his belt back, or Tony Harrison. But definitely some options out there. I'm looking forward to it. They announced Pacquiao versus Thurman. You know, you see he was crying and like he was ecstatic. He got 2 belts overnight. Crazy. But he was hungry. He wanted this. He wanted this bad. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comments section. Shout out to Fox. I think they've been doing a good job since the PBC on Fox unveiled. Commentary, I don't know. You know, it wasn't the greatest commentary, to be honest. Lennox Lewis is cool, but some of the other commentary, it was just like, you know, ESPN saying that Hurd somehow won and it could have went any way and all that. I don't see that. And I think for boxing to truly grow, we need more people to stand up for what's right and, you know, put personal biases aside. I like Hurd, you know. I like Williams. Like, I don't have a horse in the race, but even if I knew one guy more than the other, I'm still gonna be fair and be real. And I think that's why you had to birth the new media. When we started the new media shit, is to give people, the underdogs and the, you know, black fighters and minorities and just people, black and brown fighters, different people who didn't have a voice, give them that voice, because old media be saying some bullshit, you know. And it's like almost a disrespect to the sport that you won't give a man his or her credit, man or woman, when they do right by the sport and earn it out the mud. And that's what Julian J-Rock Williams did. He didn't cry, he didn't complain about the Charlo shit. All he did was get better. But to say that this was a close fight, I didn't see all that. But to definitely say Hurd won, even though Hurd himself is not disputing it, just makes it look laughable. Here's the other thing for the real people and the real fans of the sport who know boxing. I'm not even being facetious when I say this. I understand, and this is not a disrespect to Hurd, because styles make fights, and this is about game planning. But I will tell you this, a fight I went to live, I believe it was on the Jarrett Hurd versus Erislandy Lara undercard in Vegas. They had Julian J-Rock Williams on that card, and he fought Nathaniel Galadimore. I believe he's from Africa or Jamaica or some shit. And to me, that was a tougher fight for J-Rock than this was. Like I said, styles make fight. Galadimore had a lot of power, and the way he was throwing his punches maybe was a little bit different. I do think J-Rock won that fight, but if you really know your boxing, watch that fight and then watch this fight. If, you know, that was a tougher fight to me. If I think J-Rock won both fights. You get what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is the Hurd fight, I don't see how you could have scored it for Hurd at all. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it was like quote unquote close. I think the Galadamore fight was closer than this, you know, and it's because the styles make fights. Some of what Jarrett Hurd had done in the past it was rejected here. You know, you can't just take big heavy shots early, get your motor going, and then walk someone down, because you're in there with someone who's technically superior and was throwing punches. And like I said, people question everyone's chin. They did the same thing with Danny Jacobs. People still talking about when Danny Jacobs had fucking braids and got knocked out by Dimitri Perot. And they're like, oh, Canelo's gonna knock out Jacobs. And I told you he wasn't gonna knock him out. I said if Canelo knocks out Jacobs, I'll give him props. But Golovkin hits harder than Canelo, has a good technique, you know what I'm saying, and tries for the knockout. Peter Quillen, Golovkin, you know, Sergey Derevyanchenko, Luis Cuba Arias, all these other guys didn't knock him out. Mad Selesky, they didn't knock Jacobs out since that early knockout with Dimitri Perot, and people are still talking about it. People still thinking Canelo, who just got to middleweight, you know, was gonna knock out Jacobs, and you seen when they fought, it didn't happen. They're still talking about Jacobs' chin. Some of y'all don't even understand what a chin is, and that's the same thing they do with J-Rock. J-Rock didn't lose to a non-puncher. Jamal Charlo got cracks, you know what I'm saying? And he has technique. He has a good jab, and he hit him with a swift uppercut. That's not having a chin, you know what I'm saying? No disrespect, but like Amir Khan, the reason people say he don't have a chin is because he gets hurt by some people that you wouldn't expect him to get hurt by. Like Julio Diaz at 143. Keith Thurman ran through Julio Diaz, right? Amir Khan got dropped by him. Kendall Holt got stopped Julio Diaz. You get what I'm saying? You look at Amir Khan versus Samuel Vargas. Danny Garcia and Errol Spence stopped Samuel Vargas. Amir Khan went the distance and got hurt multiple times and dropped by Samuel Vargas. So that's why people say he doesn't have a chin. But when I hear people say that, you know, Jacobs doesn't have a chin, or Julian Williams, or even like Tim Bradley, this shit doesn't make the same type of sense. Bradley has only been hurt by Pacquiao's and Ruslan Provodnikov, guys like that, who have known cracks. There's no shame. These guys aren't robots. There's no shame in getting hurt or knocked down by someone who has power. But if you getting touched and tapped by anybody and they putting you down and you acting crazy, then that's something different. And that's the people gotta give J-Rock his props. They keep talking about the Charlo fight and, you know, trying to question his chin, but I don't even know. I don't think he's been. I know he hasn't lost since then, but I don't think he's even been down since then. Here's the other thing. What I'm talking about in this game is we got to bring this narration and the commentary back. You have people saying Hurd won. How is there someone who works for ESPN and been working and covering all these fights saying Hurd won a fight like this? How is it the Fox commentary crew says some of the stuff like it was a close fight? They even said in this telecast, if you go back and listen, see, I listened to all of it. The Fox commentary crew for PBC on Fox, they said that Julian Williams had been knocked out twice. And I'm like, who else knocked him out but Charlo? He ain't been knocked out by no one else. But that's the message that they said on the telecast. Go run it back. Go watch it on Fox Sports Go, you know, on the app. They said J-Rock had been stopped twice. And they never corrected it through the whole telecast that I heard. So that's misinformation and miseducation. The miseducation of Lauryn Hill being done in front of potential millions or however many people watch when the viewership numbers come back. And this was a good fight, so hopefully it did good viewership. But, you know, we can't be putting out bogus information like that, saying he got stopped twice and he really didn't get stopped twice. You know, it's ludicrous. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. New media, we working.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.